What's going on, guys, and welcome to my Friday Night SmackDown audio review for Friday, May 14, 2021. I am Graham Giuseppe Matthews. Hope you guys are doing well. We got WrestleMania Backlash coming up tomorrow night on Sunday, and this episode of SmackDown was all about building up the event for this weekend. And I thought overall it did a good job. Not nearly as exciting overall, as I would say anyway, as last week's throwback show, or as entertaining even overall as last week's throwback show, or even the week before that, headlined by Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan for the Universal Championship. I still thought it was a solid show overall. The 2 hours always fly by, and part of that might be because I have watched in the last several weeks on delay. So I just kind of skipped the commercials, and I'm done with the show in like an hour and a half max. It's usually like around an hour and 15 minutes without commercials and the recaps. These shows have way too many fucking recaps of shit that happened like a week ago, and sometimes they show the same recap twice in the same show. Raw does that a lot too, but Raw's a 3-hour show. I almost get it. SmackDown, there's no need to do that. So I always skip to that bullshit. But I did think it was a solid show overall, effective in building towards WrestleMania Backlash. Did it make me any more excited for Sunday than it already was? No. And I could see a lot of people forgetting there even is a pay-per-view coming up on Sunday, just because on the Raw side of things, Raw has been so abysmally bad. And I thought this week's show, to WWE's credit, was marginally better than usual, which isn't really saying much at all. But I thought, I think that Raw's been so bad lately, that's hindered a lot of people's interest in whatever pay-per-views they have coming up. Though I do think SmackDown's done a damn good job of building towards these pay-per-views overall. The SmackDown side of this card has a lot of promise. The Raw side isn't terrible. Actually, I think the Raw side's matches could be damn good. But because Raw's so bad, it really does fail in making you look forward to the pay-per-views. Even though WWE has had a lot of great pay-per-views in the last year, I would say, since the pandemic started, there really haven't been a lot of bad pay-per-views. Some have been good, some have been great, some are forgettable. But TLC was great. I thought the Royal Rumble was a lot of fun. Obviously, WrestleMania with fans last month was a lot of fun. Even some of the lower level shows last year. SummerSlam was a great show. Some of the other B pay-per-views weren't overly memorable, but they were solid. So, and I do think if the show is indeed 6 matches on Sunday, because I don't think they added any new matches last night, unless I'm mistaken, then it should be like a 2.5-hour show, especially without any major stipulation matches. Like Elimination Chamber had fucking 4 matches, or 4 or 5 matches on the card. My air freshener just went off, I apologize. The biggest difference between this show and that show, though, is that had 2 Elimination Chamber matches that could go upwards of a half an hour to 45 minutes. We don't have that on Sunday, aside from 2 triple threats that could max go 20-25 minutes. But anyway, back to SmackDown. So we opened the show with Roman Reigns and his awesome new music, which it probably is my new favorite theme in WWE currently. It's a great fucking song. The more that I hear it, the more I fall in love with it, and I think it's so perfectly fitting of his current character in WWE. And the presentation of it all with the 8K camera and Heyman by his side and being flanked by Jey Uso, it's just a perfect presentation. So I thought they did a great job in this segment of addressing everything going on to the Roman Reigns character right now. Kind of presenting Cesaro as a threat come Sunday's pay-per-view when Cesaro is colliding with Reigns for that Universal Championship. They hyped up that match for Sunday. They addressed Jey Uso's issues from last week. They addressed Jimmy Uso's issues from last week. He came on out wearing a shirt that says "Nobody's bitch" on it, and I thought it was like one of those parody shirts they make up for a week, but no, it says Jimmy Uso on the back of the shirt, which tells me, if they haven't already, it looks like they might start selling that soon in WWE Shop, which shocks me, unless it's one giant swerve we find out on Sunday, and Jimmy Uso is joining Roman and Jey, which I think is inevitable. But I feel like before we get to that, he's going to face Jey one-on-one. If he loses, then he has to join them, which is very similar to how Jey joined Roman. But I think it's good storytelling, so I don't really mind that. I think they can drag out the Jey stuff a little bit longer. I think a lot of people are assuming, Jimmy's going to go full-on heel on Sunday, and he's going to join Roman and Jey, and he very well could, and I would love to see it. But I think they might drag this out a little bit longer before we get to that full-on heel stable. I think Jimmy as a singles for a little while could be interesting against Jey and Roman, but beyond that, I really have no interest in Jimmy as a singles star when he and Jey could easily reunite and do some great stuff in the tag team division. So anyway, I thought this was a good segment. Jimmy came on out, like I said, kind of reiterated what he said last week, not joining Roman. He kind of just didn't really give him an answer and kind of walked off, but he did say he didn't think that he doesn't think that he's going to beat Cesaro on Sunday. Roman Reigns, that is. So Roman brought up, well, if you don't think I can beat him, what about you? And obviously Jimmy's not going to say, well, you're better than I am, so if you can't beat him, I can't beat him, blah, blah, blah. He said, no, I could beat him. I could beat Cesaro. I love the master manipulator Roman Reigns character. It's amazing. So he got in Jimmy's head, got him to challenge, convinced him to challenge Cesaro to a match on the show in the main event. So that's how we got our main event on the show. The first match on the show saw Natalya and Tamina knock off Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax to win the WWE Women's Tag Team titles, as we all assumed. I mean, the fact they continued this feud after Shayna and Nia won decisively at WrestleMania told me that they were winning the titles eventually. Now, you guys know, more people are on board with Natalya and Tamina than I am. I don't give a fuck about either of them. I think Tamina is terrible. Good on her for getting a moment. She's been here for 11 years, on the main roster anyway, probably longer in developmental. She's been here for over a decade. Aside from like a 45-minute reign, if that reign, as 24/7 champion, she has never held gold in WWE. Rightfully so, because she's awful. But as a tag team reign, it's at least somewhat bearable. But those belts are so diminished and mean absolutely nothing. It's hard to care. Natalya and Tamina, they've become a decent little team on SmackDown. I just don't find them exciting at all. I think Natalya is unbearable on the mic. She's boring in the ring. Tamina is terrible all around. And it was nice to see them get their little moment and show emotion when they won the championships and they were acting like baby faces, even though they've clearly been heels since day one. I don't remember seeing a face turn. I don't know. I will give them credit that the match was better than I thought it would be. It exceeded expectations. I thought they did a good job with it. And the title change was necessary because, I was going to say, at least it gets Nia Jax off of both shows. Now we get Tamina on both shows. How is that any better? You know what I mean? You could have avoided this altogether by putting the championships on the Riot Squad instead. What the fuck happened to the Riot Squad? We saw Ruby Riott last week lose to Carmella in like a 2-minute match, but they have not been involved in the tag team title mix in close to a year. They were involved in the turmoil match at WrestleMania. They lost. I don't know. I know they got their shot back in September and lost, but they really should have come back around and put the belts back on those. Put the belts on them, period. They have never held the tag team titles. The Riot Squad have been around now for 3.5 years, have never once held tag team titles in WWE. And the women's tag titles have been around since early 2019. They broke up and got back together, and in all of that time, they have never held gold together. None of them have held gold, period. Ruby specifically is a lot better than Liv, I think, so the fact that she's never been champion either is an absolute crime against humanity. But anyway, I think Natalya and Tamina getting their moment, that's nice and all. But again, I'm not into the act as much as other people seem to be. Maybe I'm misinterpreting it and they're really over. I have no fucking clue. I know they were over a little bit at WrestleMania, probably because people, for whatever reason, wanted to see Tamina get her moment. But I don't know. Hopefully this clears up Shayna to go off and do her own thing. She's been so damaged by this tag team. You would think holding gold for 8 months, on and off for 8 months, would do her a world of good. But it's the exact opposite. She's booked like such a fucking loser. She's lost to literally everyone on this roster. At least twice. Clean, too. With roll-ups and all this other dumb shit. So, how anyone could care about Shayna at this point, I have no idea. Maybe they can rehab her. She's on Raw, though, so I'm not expecting it. But we'll see where this goes. I don't have a lot of faith. I hate to say that. I like to be optimistic. But they've clearly shown no interest in reviving this tag team division. No matter how many teams they put together, makeshift teams, who gives a shit? Honestly, they can bring back the Bella Twins for all I care, and it's not going to change my interest one iota in this women's tag team division. It's not because of the talent. It's because of how WWE, causes people to perceive the tag team division. And the fact that it means absolutely nothing. That is entirely on WWE. And some of the talent, like Tamina, I think is terrible, but that's a different story for a different day. We got Rey Mysterio and Dolph Ziggler 1-on-1 this week. In what we were supposed to get last week before Dolph challenged Dominic to an impromptu match, and it changed to Dominic beating Dolph in like 2 minutes. This was a much more full-length match. It took Rey like 12 minutes to beat Dolph, and Dominic, it took him like 2. So that was a little weird. But it was a good match. I'm not going to complain about a quality contest. Rey and Dolph have brought back memories of their feud back from 2009. That's so long ago they feuded in WWE. Dolph's real first rivalry in WWE was against Rey Mysterio for the Intercontinental Championship back in the summer of 2009. Back-to-back matches. I think it was Night of Champions 2009 and then SummerSlam 2009. Great match at SummerSlam for that championship. The Night of Champions match, I don't know if I've definitely seen it. I just haven't seen it in a while. But that SummerSlam match specifically was really, really good. But yeah, they rekindled that rivalry here. Rey Mysterio won. So giving the babyfaces an additional momentum boost before Sunday, which hopefully reinforces my theory of them losing on Sunday, which I know sounds weird, but bear with me. And I said this last week. You gotta put the belts on Rey and Dominic next month at fucking whatever the pay-per-view is, on Father's Day. They have yet to officially announce it, but from what I've read, they're aiming for that June, I think it's 20th, right? June 20th date. And it's Father's Day. How the fuck do you not put the belts on them then? I mean, honestly, that makes absolutely no sense if you don't. So hopefully them winning in recent weeks means they're losing on Sunday. You keep them in chase mode for an additional month. You get the Father's Day moment. It writes itself. So hopefully that's where we're going with this. Bayley interrupted Bianca Belair. And actually, before all of this, I completely forgot. I'm going through my notes here. We had a ceremony on the show as well, a Medal of Honor ceremony for Commander Aziz, courtesy of Apollo Crews. And they had the music in the background, and he was standing on a platform, was Aziz. It gave me A New Hope vibes from the end of the movie when they were giving the medals out to like Chewbacca and shit. Unfortunately, Chewbacca did not get his medal until many years later, but he did. And Aziz did. Aziz did get his medal, and Chewbacca did not. So that's what this reminded me of until, obviously, predictably, we got the crashing of the ceremony from Sami Zayn and Big E and Kevin Owens. It ended in calamity. Everyone hit their finishers on each other. You would think setting up a four-way for Sunday's pay-per-view, and we're getting that fatal four-way for the Intercontinental Championship, but instead we're getting it next week on SmackDown. I don't know why you would do that. Now, it's cool they're saving big matches for SmackDown, like Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan did not need to happen at Backlash. I was perfectly fine with that being a SmackDown match. This fatal four-way should have happened at the pay-per-view. And again, I'm not one to pad up, a pay-per-view lineup. You could take off Damian and Miz and put in this four-way instead. I think a lot more people would care. I don't know. Maybe they just want 6 matches to keep it short and sweet. I know they wanted to have, 3 Raw matches, 3 SmackDown matches to keep it even. That's fine. I guess if you do this, then it really makes it uneven. So you have 4 SmackDown and 3 Raw. I don't know if that really matters to them. That's just my speculation. But, so we're getting the Fatal 4-Way next week on SmackDown and not on Sunday, which is bizarre to me. I don't know. I mean, I would prefer to see it at the pay-per-view personally. I think that would make a lot more sense. And, again, I've said this before, but it gives me vibes of that 4-Way from 5 years ago this month from, not Backlash. It was Extreme Rules 2016 with Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, The Miz, and Cesaro, which was an amazing match. One of the best matches I've seen live and one of the best matches from that year in WWE. So, interestingly, they're saving it for next week and not on Sunday. So, going back to the Bayley segment, Bianca Belair was in the ring looking great as always in whatever getup she had on. Not even going to attempt to speculate. I know nothing about fashion or clothes, so I had no clue. But she looked great, and her style is always on point. She was kind of promo about what Bayley said to her last week and Bayley attacking her. She was responding to that. Bayley interrupted her here on the Titantron. Kind of a basic promo, but I thought the promo work was good. Sometimes with some of these segments it can be bad or generic, and this was somewhat generic, but you know what? It did its job in building towards Sunday. I think it's been a good feud so far. It's clearly a filler feud for Bianca before Sasha comes back, and maybe they pad some more time between. Sasha may not come back on Sunday or next week. I could see them waiting a little bit longer and maybe doing a Carmella rivalry first with Carmella and Bianca at the next pay-per-view or at Extreme Rules or whatever, and then Sasha comes back. Would they want to keep Sasha off TV for a solid 3 or 4 months? I don't know. I really don't know. I don't think so. They're probably, I can almost guarantee you're going to bring her back before SummerSlam and do the match with Bianca as soon as the next pay-per-view. I'm not sure. But we'll see. I thought this was a good segment to build up towards their rematch on Sunday. One thing they really haven't mentioned a lot about, that I heard them talking, I think it was The Bump or something, that they're 1-1. Bianca's first loss in WWE came against Bianca on the main roster back in, I think it was December, right before TLC. They had a rematch the week right before Royal Rumble, and Bianca beat her then. I think it was the 2 days before the Rumble pay-per-view. So they're 1-1, and Bianca eliminated her from the Rumble that weekend. So I wish they would kind of get into that a little bit more and play out their previous, bad blood from a few months ago, but it's not that big of a deal. So probably the biggest waste of time on the show came when we had King Corbin versus Shinsuke Nakamura. And we also had an Aleister Black vignette too. I forgot to mention that, which was cool. Kind of the same old stuff, nothing new there. It was the same vignette, but I thought they're well produced if nothing else. What he's actually saying, I honestly have no clue if it makes any sense at all, but I'm glad to see Aleister back soon. That was not the biggest waste of time on the show. The biggest waste of time, as I said, it was King Corbin versus Shinsuke Nakamura. It did make some sense coming off of last week's six-man tag team match. Corbin pinned Nakamura. I'm thinking, okay, that sets up this match, and Nakamura gets his win back, and we move forward. I like Baron Corbin. I am among the few Baron Corbin fans out there. The King Corbin shit is terrible, and I've said this time and time again. It's been almost 2 years now. You gotta move the fuck on. Why we're still doing this shit, I have no idea. So, not only do we get this match here, which was decent at best, Corbin fucking wins. It was like in the most anticlimactic fashion, too. I think Nakamura was going for like an armbar or something. Corbin caught him, slammed him down, and it wasn't really a roll-up. He just kind of got his shoulders pinned down and tied him up like a pretzel, and it was over, and Corbin won. And then Nakamura, like a loser, like a sore loser, attacked Corbin afterwards. So who really emerges from this thing looking better? Corbin wins, but gets knocked out afterward. He's the heel anyway. And then Nakamura took his crown. Who cares? They must be playing into the whole, they're the king of strong style. That's cute and all, but like, if the shit actually meant something, it would be interesting. I mean, I guess I'm happy that Nakamura's back on the show after disappearing for like 2 months. I don't know, dude. I would give Nakamura more wins, and I've said this before, but if you want to really drag out this Roman Reigns reign as Universal Champion, you're going to need more credible challengers beyond Cesaro. Daniel Bryan's gone. Edge has already gotten his shot. Maybe they could do another match with Edge and Roman at some point. But I look at Shinsuke as the guy that, a lot like Cesaro, can go for the gold on one of these B-level pay-per-views. Whether it be at Extreme Rules or Money in the Bank or what have you. And then you could do Big E at SummerSlam. But he is far from a threat right now with how frequently he has lost since he went babyface back in January. He is a fucking loser. And I just don't see the point in building up Corbin in this current role. I like Corbin. I think he can be something. Maybe not WWE champion at this point. That shit might have sold a few years ago. But honestly though, we have a heel Intercontinental Champion and a heel Universal Champion. Why are we focusing on Baron fucking Corbin? We have enough heels on SmackDown. We need more baby faces with Bryan being gone. Why are we focusing on King Corbin? That is my question. Why is this even a feud? You know what I'm saying? It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So we get to our main event on the show, Cesaro versus Jimmy Uso. I thought they had a good match. You kind of knew where this was going as soon as it started, and that it would end in interference most likely. Jimmy just came back. Cesaro is going for the Universal Championship on Sunday. He's not losing to Jimmy fucking Uso. And Jimmy, by the way, again, this was his first match back since WrestleMania 36. He's been out of action for, 13 months? His last match was the ladder match, the triple threat ladder match at Mania 36. And he's been out ever since, aside from last week when he returned, but this was his first taste of in-ring action. And it's cool that it came in the main event. But, so it was a good match, a pretty basic match. Roman Reigns gets involved, attacks Cesaro. Jimmy Uso is not happy with that. Jimmy and Roman go at it. They didn't get physical, though, which is worth noting in case Jimmy ends up joining them, going full-fledged heel, joining the Bloodline or whatever they're calling this Roman Reigns Samoan Dynasty faction, which is, I would argue, a cooler name, but the Bloodline works too. So while they're going at it and arguing and shit, Cesaro takes out Jey Uso from behind in the ring, and I think hits him twice with the neutralizer and not Jimmy and Jey. I think maybe it was Jimmy and Jey. I thought it was just Jey twice. I might be wrong, but either way, he attacked an Uso in the ring with 2 different neutralizers. Again, standing tall as we head into Sunday. I love the fact they've built up Cesaro so much in the last couple of weeks with what they've done with him to make him look like a threat to that top title. We know he is not winning on Sunday. We absolutely know that for a fact. And could they swerve us and put the championship on him for a month or 2? Absolutely. And I think that would make for an amazing moment. I just don't think they will. So I think it's great that they're at least making him feel like a threat. I mean, it's amazing that I maybe it was given the story why they did this, but you look back at the Kevin Owens feud. We knew Kevin Owens was not taking that title from Roman Reigns, nor should he have. So why did they book him to get his ass kicked every single week? And it ended up leading nowhere anyway. It's not like Owens went heel or he took time off afterward or whatever. No, he just looked like a loser for like 3 months straight. Lost every match he faced Roman in. But it's not even that he lost. Like, every week on SmackDown and building towards this match, he looked like a loser, and he got beat up every single week. He may have gotten the better of Roman and Jey 1 or 2 weeks out of, 8? And that was it. So I'm glad they're at least making it feel like that Cesaro could win on Sunday. We know that he won't, but hopefully they can go in there and have a great match. They've had 2 other matches before. The second one I completely forgot about until recently, but the first one was back on Raw in 2015. An incredible match for the... it wasn't for anything, actually. It was just during the WWE World Heavyweight Championship Tournament. One of the best Raw matches of 2015. I remember that very clearly, and I think it was in that match that Cesaro got hurt, and he was out for a couple of months afterward, but they had a great match then. And then the other match that I forgot about was that they faced off on Raw. I want to say it must have been in 2017 when Roman was Intercontinental Champion, but Roman defended the Intercontinental Championship on Raw against Cesaro back in, I think, 2017, and they had a kick-ass match. So it's cool to see them running this back again on pay-per-view in a high-stakes match. If I'm booking the show, I would put this in the main event. Cesaro's first ever one-on-one World Championship opportunity, I think, is more main event worthy than the triple threat on Raw for the Universal Championship. And that's or for the WWE Championship, rather. And that's just my opinion. I mean, if they put the triple threat match on Raw, from Raw on last, they got the Shaft at Mania. Drew and Bobby kicked off night 1. So I understand why they would put that in the main event. I totally get that. Bobby has yet to main event a pay-per-view as champion. Drew has, obviously, and Braun has before, but never Bobby. So I understand that. But, and also, too, it's an equally big match. It's not like it's a match of scrubs. Like, they could have Drew win back the championship on Sunday, and they might want to close off with that. So, honestly, I expect them to end with Drew, Bobby, and Braun. But if they have Bobby retain, which they should, then they should probably, I would just put that on second to last, and then Roman and Cesaro on last. My personal opinion, that's what I would do. Will they do that? Probably not, because Raw usually takes precedence. And I say that, but Roman did main event at WrestleMania. And again, rightfully so, it was the best match, I think, of either night. And Bianca and Sasha was great, too. If you say that was better than Roman, Edge, and Bryan, I could believe that. The rest of the matches, I think Roman, Edge, and Bryan easily are the best match of night 2. It's not even close. But anyway, this was a good episode of SmackDown, like I said, effective in building towards WrestleMania Backlash on Sunday. I'm looking forward to it. I think it could be a solid show. I really do. And I'm going off of their pay-per-view track record in recent months to the last year. Having no fans really sucks, but it seems like they really deliver on pay-per-view. Like, they put on good to great pay-per-views. And then when it comes to the weekly shows, at least on Raw, they're fucking terrible. That's the part I don't understand. Maybe it's because they don't have to fill the 3 hours with random promos and just pointless shit. I don't know. SmackDown is usually entertaining more often than not, which, in my opinion, has been extremely evident in recent weeks. Raw, not so much. So, this was a solid show. We'll see what Sunday brings. I'm looking forward to it nonetheless. So thank you guys for checking out this review. I appreciate it. Be sure to like the video, drop a comment, share the video, and subscribe to the channel for more daily content. And be sure to hit the bell button as well to be notified every time a new video goes up. From this past week alone, we had 2 different interviews go up, so check them out. One on Monday with Ryzen from AEW Dark fame. Really great guy. Really want to see him land a full-time contract in AEW. We spoke to him on Monday. I went up an article for him later that day on What Culture, so check that out. And then on Wednesday was my interview that went up for Bleacher Report with former WWE champion, just got done talking about him, Drew McIntyre. And that was in video form, too. Got a lot of great feedback on that. It was really cool. So check that out right now over here on the channel on Bleacher Report in article form, but also here on the channel from Wednesday. And we have more interviews to come as well. So have a great rest of your weekend, guys. Enjoy WrestleMania Backlash. We'll be right back here next Saturday with another audio review of Friday Night SmackDown. Until then, I'm Graham G. Matthews, and I'll catch your ass down the road.